I haven't showered yet, I'm sure you can tell. I gotta keep that Fazbear grease on me. So, I saw Five Nights at Freddy's the second that it released in theaters. I wanted to make sure I was planted, swamp ass in seat, ready to be blown away. I'll be fully transparent here. I went into this film without the highest of expectations. I expected perhaps a fun, bad movie. Not necessarily because I think the property's weak or anything, it's just video game adaptations don't normally land. They're usually pretty stinky. But I was hoping, maybe I'd be pleasantly surprised. And to a certain extent, I was. This is going to be an extremely hard moist meter to do without spoilers, because a lot of what I want to talk about is very spoiler heavy. So, I'll go ahead and get this out of the way as well. I'm not the biggest Five Nights at Freddy's fan. I've played a handful of the games. Mainly, I speedrun Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. That's like my big venture into the franchise. I know enough about the lore to understand what was going to be going on here, as well as like the references and the characters and everything. And when I saw the film as flopping with critics, I kind of understood why, because it is a pretty deep, rich lore that I feel one movie isn't going to be able to do justice to get people brought into it. And so I kind of went in here expecting that this will be a movie Five Nights at Freddy's fans are going to love, and anyone who's not already a fan of the property is going to hate. And now that I've seen it, I think that's probably pretty accurate. So let's go ahead and dive into the old Fazbear pizza here. So, what I really liked about the film is the main character. I actually think Josh Hutcherson is the best part of this film. He also happens to be a fellow Hunger Games co-star of mine. Josh and I go way back on the set of the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. Some might say I taught him everything he knows about acting, but I'm not here to toot my own horn. Point is, he is the best part of this movie. He plays a troubled man who watched his brother get kidnapped in front of him while he was a young boy, and he is still haunted by that memory to this day, all these years later. Every single night, he goes to bed to go to that point in time in his mind. He dreams that moment every single night because he believes somewhere deep in his psyche, he saw the person that kidnapped his brother and he wants to catch him. So he goes there, tries to get more clues to try and catch the person responsible for kidnapping his brother so many years ago. It's a really interesting concept, and it plays into the overarching plot pretty well. I would have liked it to have more of a role in how things pan out towards the end, but I'm still very satisfied with what they did with that. I think it's a really cool concept. Aside from that, everything plays out exactly how you expect it to if you're familiar with the games. Mike, the main character, gets a job as a security guard at Freddy Fazbear's place. It's actually kind of goofy how he gets there. He was a security guard at a mall beforehand, and then he saw someone that he believed was kidnapping a child, and he just beats the fucking daylights out of him in a fountain. Like, he tackles him into, like, a fountain, and just gives him knuckle sandwiches out the ass. He was feeding him more knuckle sandwich than Freddy Fazbear fed kids pizza. Like, this guy was going crazy on him, so Mike brutalizes the guy, which is never really touched on again, even though I feel like he would have been locked behind bars after that incident. It was a big misunderstanding. He wasn't actually kidnapping the kid, it was his dad. And then after that, he gets the job as the security guard. Now, the movie is absolutely at its best when it's at least trying to be a horror film. This is by far my biggest critique of it. There's only a handful of scenes that even attempt to do anything unnerving or tense or scary. Now, it's important to mention that if you're familiar with their games, then you know the backbone of the scares of Five Nights at Freddy's is jump scares. Would you believe me if I told you that there's almost no jump scares in this movie? I think there's only two. I think there's 2 jump scares in the entire runtime of this film, which blew me away because I thought this would be like a completely unapologetic jump scare, like bonanza. But it wasn't. And for the first time in history, I swear on a stack of Bibles, it actually was a detriment to not rely on jump scares, because that's what built the franchise in the first place. So I really think this is like one of the few movies that really could have benefited from having more of them. Now, ordinarily, I think that's extremely cheap for your scares, because usually I'd prefer if you'd try and actually build tension, be unnerving and all of that. And since they weren't using jump scares, they did try that, but it doesn't really work super well most of the time. So let me give you an example. A scene where a character's hiding in a closet and a light's flickering behind them. You can see an animatronic fucking rabbit giving it like some psychopath eyes, giving it the stink eye. And it becomes less tense and more silly. Because at its core, looking at animatronic animals being evil is a silly, wacky concept. So the tension building doesn't really work in the film. So I think this really would have benefited from just playing it safe with jump scares. I think that would have been a little more effective. But even if it's not the best when it comes to frightening the audience, I still think it's at its best when it's at least trying to. And when it's doing that, it's very fun to watch. Like, the animatronics look amazing in this movie. The animatronics look spectacular. Like, I think they did a great job with Freddy and the gang. I really do. And there's a scene in particular where some rapscallions, some less than savory individuals break into the establishment to try and destroy it, just ruin it, even though it's already fucking disgusting. But they go in there to cause a ruckus. And the animatronics fight back. And it actually gets kind of gruesome at one point. Like, I was actually surprised. It's a PG-13 movie, but there's actually a couple scenes of gore, which I think is good. Like, I think it added to it. This movie was never going to be R in any universe. That would be extremely stupid. Five Nights at Freddy's is a property that's enjoyed primarily by the younger demographic, and you can't have an R-rated movie that kids can go to. So it was always going to be PG-13, but I am shocked at some of the stuff they put in here during some of these kills. I'm happy about it. But when they're not doing that, they're basically treating this movie like it's Five Nights at Freddy's fanfic that they found on Tumblr, complete with some cameos that drop their famous lines here and there, as well as like an entire sequence dedicated to Freddy and the squad building forts with Mike and his sister Abby and a cop named Vanessa. It becomes like a summer camp thing for a little bit. Like, they treat half of this movie like it's a fucking episode of the Rugrats sometimes. Like, it just feels like it clashes with the tone of the horror of Five Nights at Freddy's. Perhaps it's because I haven't played every Five Nights at Freddy's game and I'm not super deep in the lore. Like, I'm not like a lore historian on it. But for the film, I feel like it would have done better if they leaned more in on the unnerving aspects of it, as opposed to kind of making it a 50-50 thing where 50% of it is kind of bubbly and sweet, and the other half is the more horror stuff. But again, maybe that's just not me maybe that's me not being knowledgeable enough on how the property plays out in the lore. But those were my least favorite parts. And especially because I think a lot of times the writing gets very, very silly. So in that scene I mentioned about the fort building, the cop, Vanessa, is like, best day ever! Like, she's having so much fun. She loves being at Fazbear's place. She's loving that Mike and his sister Abby are getting along really well with Freddy and Bonnie and Foxy. Like, they're having so much fun, and she couldn't be more happy. But then Mike and Vanessa go to a broom closet, and Abby plays the guitar and kind of like shocks herself, which of course, it's scary, and Mike freaks out and Vanessa freaks out, and then she immediately flips this switch where she's like, don't you ever come back here again, Mike. If I ever see Abby in this facility one more time, I'm going to shoot you. Like, she just directly threatens him, even though the cop Vanessa has been actively encouraging Mike and Abby to play with Freddy and the friends and like be part of the crew here and have fun. Then all of a sudden she's like, I'm gonna fucking shoot you if I catch you here again. Like, it just feels like there's scenes missing where it builds up to her like disdain for them being here, because like actually 30 seconds ago she had the biggest smile on her face, grinning ear to ear. So it just feels like maybe they knew where they needed to go but didn't know how to get there in a smooth manner. So sometimes it just fucking flips. And I think it's actually exclusive to the cop Vanessa, because her whole role in this film is kind of just to be the Five Nights at Freddy's wiki. She is basically just an exposition robot. She's not really so much a character in the film. She's more like a YouTuber who swoops in and wiggles their finger. Well, actually, Mike, did you know? And then goes into like this whole exposition, dump on what's going on. So, like, it's no problem with the actress or anything. I actually think she did a fantastic job on screen. It's just, she was written to kind of only be here to be a savior out of nowhere, to keep people alive if things get a little too hairy, or inform the audience of the overarching lore that's taking place, or what's actually happening here. So it just feels odd. Like, I wish they had done more with her, as opposed to just making her the Wikipedia page for Five Nights at Freddy's. She's not the only character that I feel is written kind of poorly. There's actually a couple that seem like they're only here to remind the audience that these animatronics can kill. So they're kind of there just to die and nothing else. But aside from that, I think what it focused on with Josh, I don't know, I'm calling him Josh. We may be Hunger Games, veterans, but we're not on a first name basis. Mike, the main character, and his sister Abby are really the focus of it, and everything that happens around them outside of what happens inside Freddy's place is kind of just very odd. Like, it starts to fall apart. I really want to talk more about this movie, but it is all spoilers. This is going to be a minor spoiler, but I just have to mention this because it is such a head scratcher of a of a plot idea. So, minor spoiler, just fair warning here. A big thing that drives Mike to take the job as a security guard at Freddy's place is he may lose custody of his sister because his evil aunt is trying to get the girl so that she can make money from the government off having that kid. Even though she seems to already be really financially well off, and it's not like the government's going to be paying her fucking millions of dollars for this, but regardless, I think that's already a bit of an interesting idea. The way she goes about it is she wants Mike to die. Like, she even contemplates having him killed. All so that way she can take custody of the daughter to make, like, a monthly paycheck off having the kid or something like that. It's a really weird motivation, and it's not even really important to the plot. It's really just there because it gave Mike a reason to grab that job as a security officer. But aside from that, it's just kind of dumb and gets sidelined pretty quickly. She herself is also not really a character in this film. She's just here to be like a cartoonishly evil presence that kind of, haunts the place, basically. Where she's there and she's on screen to be hated, and that's it. I'll stop going into spoilers. There's a couple more things that I'd like to say, but that would be way too much in the spoiler territory. There are things I liked, there are things I didn't like. Overall, this is a film that I am confident most Five Nights at Freddy's fans are going to enjoy, and I'm also confident if you don't like Five Nights at Freddy's, this doesn't really have a whole lot for you to get you invested and make you a fan. Although I do think the concept with Mike and like going into the dream state to try and solve a kidnapping case is interesting enough that I think it might push people to at least check out Five Nights at Freddy's lore to some extent. And Five Nights at Freddy's lore is actually pretty fucking good. Like, it is pretty interesting. So, maybe that will be what happens. I also mention this because a lot of you saw the video. There was also a fight that broke out at the premiere of Five Nights at Freddy's. This is the last movie I would expect people to be throwing hands at, but I wanted to mention that. They're calling it the Fight of 87, which is a reference to Five Nights at Freddy's with the Bite of 87, where for some reason a bunch of people just started brawling in the theater on opening day for this movie. So, just wanted to toss that out there. I did see the video. Very, very wild. Anyway, plugging Five Nights at Freddy's movie into the moist meter, I'm going to give it a 45%. I think it is not a bad film, per se. I think there are bad moments, and I think there are things that weren't executed as well as they could have, but I do find it to be enjoyable enough that it was worth watching. When I initially left the theater, I was a lot less enthusiastic about it than I am now, mainly because there is just like a period of it where it just kind of becomes a slog to get through, and it clashes with what I think the tone probably wanted to go for. But looking back on it, I really did enjoy it with my friends. Like, we were talking to each other a little bit back and forth, whispering, of course, because we're not trying to disrupt the theater, about, like, how it ties into Five Nights at Freddy's lore. And then also, like, there were a couple scenes where, like, all fucking five of us, all at once, when it happened on screen, went like this and then like that, because it was so nonsensically dumb what just unfolded. So it was a fun experience that I did enjoy, even though overall I don't think it's an amazing adaptation for the property. I think it's good enough that fans are going to be satisfied, but I don't think it's strong enough to stand on its own 2 feet where people that aren't already invested are going to get invested. I think they're going to maybe leave a bit disappointed. But anyway, that's really about it. So yeah.
Moist Meter was brought to you by Amazon Music. Sign up for free below using our referral code.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're checking out Space Jam: A New Legacy. I haven't seen the original Space Jam since probably the 90s. It's been a long time for me, but I loved the movie when I was younger. I can't imagine I'd go back and watch it now and enjoy it as much today as I did back then. I think that movie was really a product of its time. It took all of the 90s and fucking flavor blasted it into this goldfish of a movie, which ended up just happening to work with Space Jam. Like, it was a fun movie for its time, but I don't want to go back and take the risk that it actually sucks ass by today's standards, because I have a sneaking suspicion that it's probably not that great anymore. And I just I don't want to risk it. I want to keep those cherished childhood memories intact and not ruin it. But I will say, Space Jam: A New Legacy fucking sucks. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about it. This is going to be like a moist meter speedrun. This is the laziest movie I think I've ever seen. There is no effort put into the creation of this film at all. The movie is entirely references, and I'm sure you've heard that on Twitter by now, and maybe even seen some of the clips where it is just reference at every single step of this movie. It's completely devoid of all substance and creativity. It really just feels like they wanted to make a couple bucks off the beloved Space Jam property, but it doesn't have any of the magic of Space Jam. It's like they actually took the basketball from Space Jam and just sucked all of the talent and creativity out of the fucking studio here and then produced this hemorrhoid. I understand this is a movie made for kids, but that doesn't mean that it has to blow asshole. You know what else was a movie made for kids? Paddington 2, and that shit fucking slapped. You know who's not in this movie? Paddington. Huge mistake. Paddington should have been on the Looney Tunes team for some reason. Just any reason to put Paddington out there. I would love to see it. What I'm saying is, just because a movie's made for kids doesn't mean that it has to fucking suck. It's also an insultingly long, miserable experience. It's like a 2-hour movie for no reason. Like, within the first hour, you get to the basketball game, which I would have expected to last maybe like 30 minutes or something, but it lasts another fucking hour. So you have an hour of just this boring build-up of... build-up's the wrong word, because there is no fucking build-up, it's just references. Like, in one scene, you're watching an Austin Powers clip that has a Looney Tune in it, and then the next scene, you're watching a black and white television show that has a Looney Tune in it, and you just keep going back and forth, rapid fire, never letting you breathe. But when you get to the basketball game, then you're fucking strapped in, locked and loaded for an hour of boring nonsense. Like, I can't even remember half of the shit that happened there. I sat there and watched the whole thing with a frown on my face, and I cannot even tell you half of the shit that goes on. There's like 10 different times LeBron's like, fundamentals, but maybe we should get goofy because it's not working with fundamentals. And there's like, the fundamentals are going to work again. But what if we got goofy? Or maybe the movie was skipping back and forth and replaying the same part multiple times. I couldn't tell you. I honestly don't know. After a certain point in that basketball game, I just felt like I was being hypnotized. It's not good. I can't even imagine for kids they'd find a whole lot of things to like about it, because half the references aren't even going to make sense to them. What fucking child has seen Austin Powers, right? It's just kind of a dog-ass movie all around, no matter what your age. And I don't think LeBron made the movie weaker or anything like that. I thought LeBron did fine. He is on screen 99% of the time here, and I found that to be okay. It's not like he was insufferable to watch. He's not like a super shitty actor. He's not good by any means, but it's like charmingly mediocre. Like, you can tell that he wants to do well. Like, when he's doing the voice acting for his cartoon counterpart, you can hear him kind of changing his voice a little bit, doing screams, so you can see that there's effort there on his part, but he's just not talented at acting enough to make it good. And I don't know, there's something about that dichotomy of like this effort and lack of talent, and it kind of worked for me. I don't know, it just made it really believable. It's like, yeah, that is actually fucking LeBron doing this, you know? I thought that was fine. Like, I didn't have any problems with LeBron as the main character and like the only character that's on screen every single scene in the movie. I think the movie could have been better, at least if they had just focused on doing more than just making as many references as they could possibly fist into this movie. Like, the idea of having LeBron's son being kidnapped by a video game AI that forces him to play a crazy game of basketball is at least a fun idea. But the fun is taken out of it when there's like no effort put into making it actually fun to watch. It's also way too long. It is way, way too long. Plugging this into the moist meter, I'm giving Space Jam: A New Legacy a 25%. I don't know who would go into this movie and feel satisfied. I mean, being able to point out some references, being like, oh, I get that, I guess could be fun for some people, but when you're saying that 90 times over the course of 25 minutes, I think it's going to lose its luster and stop being that fun. So that's about it. So yeah.
This episode of Moist Meter was brought to you by Raycon. Episode 9 was bad.
Initiating moisture.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really fucking bad. This is a super stinky shitter. This is Game of Thrones Season 8 for Star Wars. The only way Star Wars recovers as a cinematic universe is to just give Episode 9 the Dragon Ball GT treatment and just say, it's not canon. Yeah, that was Star Wars GT Episode 1, not real. I know I said The Last Jedi was my least favorite and the weakest, but at least The Last Jedi had some great moments in it. The Kylo Ren and Rey tag team, for example. There were some great moments in The Last Jedi and some good scenes and visuals, albeit it was a weak movie overall. This doesn't even have that. There is nothing memorable or great about this movie. At every turn it is predictable. No matter how you look at this movie, it's not even well made. It's not just a bad Star Wars movie, it is a bad movie. Objectively, it's not well shot, it's not well structured, the pacing is all over the place. In the first 5 minutes, you visit 4 planets on screen, and you spend 45 seconds to a minute at each one before it shifts to a different planet. It is all over the place. And at every point in this movie's plot, if you ask yourself how or why an important moment happens, the entire thing falls apart. You have to take so much shit at face value, you're just getting golden showered by J.J. Abrams' bad writing. It is not well put together, and I don't even think it all falls on bad writing. I think they wanted to do so many things but didn't have enough time that they just cut out the most important moments of getting to these places, so then the movie ends up just being a whole bunch of conveniences and just absolute nonsensical shit that happens. And I think one thing is going to be clear to everyone who sees this movie. Palpatine was never meant to come back in this new trilogy. That was never the plan. At no point in this movie did it ever get justified how he's here, how he survived, what he's doing. At no point did I think, oh, okay, this makes sense, this is what they were building towards, because it's clearly not. He comes in out of fucking nowhere. It would have made more sense if it was Jar Jar Binks they brought in here to be the big bad villain. This is truly nonsensical, and it's just downright laughable for them saying that this was the plan all along. It wasn't. He actually comes out of fucking nowhere. It would have been more cinematic if he rode in on 15 horses, like space fucking horses, and just said, yep, I'm here to fuck things up. That would have made as much sense as their explanation here. He does not fit in narratively. He comes in for no reason out of nowhere. And you remember Snoke, you know, the big bad villain they set up in episode 7 who was killed off immediately in episode 8 with no explanation about who or what he was? He's given a single line in this movie to explain who and what he was. One line that is about 8 or 9 words. That's what they gave their initial big bad villain. It's just silly. Episodes 1 through 8 become absolutely useless in this movie. They're totally worthless, and this movie completely nullifies the original trilogy. Rey is so incredibly overpowered out of nowhere, she can do anything you ever thought possible in the Star Wars universe. If you saw anyone in any Star Wars media use some power, Rey has it at her disposal in this movie for no fucking reason. It just comes out of nowhere. She even has a power that completely ruins what set up the entire Star Wars conflict in the fucking first place. I'm not spoiling anything, and it's really hard to talk about this without spoiling it. And Jackson, as you know, is the goddamn preeminent prodigy of anything regarding Star Wars. Seen every movie, watched every TV show, played every Star Wars game, including the most important ones, the Lego Star Wars ones. He knows his shit, and he thinks this is the worst Star Wars movie yet as well. It actually does completely ruin the original trilogy. I don't want to give away how or why, but there's something Rey does that throws out of whack what even sets up Star Wars in the fucking first place. And there's no explanation for how she's able to do it, or where she got it, or how it even fucking exists in the universe. When it was established, it doesn't, and it can't exist. It's fucking silly. It's super bad. There is 2 positives. There's only 2 compliments I think this movie will ever deserve. The music. Star Wars music is always incredible, and this is no exception. The score in this, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And 2, God damn it, some of the acting is great. Adam Driver is so goddamn talented. I really think the acting crushes it. I think the characters do really well with what they're given, and they're given some straight garbage. They're given something straight out of J.J. Abrams' hemorrhoids, and I'm well aware J.J. Abrams didn't like fucking sit down and solo write this himself. It would have been far worse, but it's very bad material they're given to work with, and I think they do a great job with it. I really do. Those are the only 2 compliments I can give it. There's no memorable scenes. There's no good scenes. There's no great visuals either. It's very generic sci-fi shots. Every single planet, every single starship, the space battles underwhelming. The lightsaber battles kind of fucking blow, which is rare because I think the lightsaber battles have been a highlight in the new trilogy. It's just there's not a lot to like here at all, and everything comes at random. That's the biggest problem. Things are just coming out of nowhere at random. Characters showing up, saying things, doing things, them finding things. It's as if there's always like a puppet master in the back when the characters get lost, just whispering to them, "Hey, go here and do this," and then they do. It just they get it out of nowhere. They get these. There's a not spoiling anything again, but towards the end of the movie, the plans are going awry and things get changed up. But luckily, the good guys are able to see through that plan because one of the good guys says, "Wait a minute, I have a feeling," and that feeling turns out to be incredibly accurate and saves the day. Based off of nothing. I don't know why the character got the feeling. It's not even like it was a force-sensitive character who's getting like a fucking force tingle in his penis. Just the character says, "Hey, I got a feeling." They go with it and it works. It's silly. It's bad. It's very juvenile writing here. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. There is so little to like about this movie. There really is. No matter how much you love the characters, and I love the Star Wars characters, the new characters not so much, but that's not really their fault. I think the actors and actresses are talented. They just haven't been well written. They haven't been well developed. But I do like Kylo Ren. In this movie, he's not horrible. I mean, at least he's okay. He's kind of still true to the character they've established, which is good. The rest, though, there's not much to like. The characters aren't given enough to do meaningfully or in a way that makes sense, like with respect to intelligence. I can't spoil anything, but fuck, it's bad. It's just not a good movie. Now, one thing I do appreciate, and I don't think it's done overly well, but the fan service. There's a lot of nods to previous Star Wars movies before they totally shit on them by overwriting what really sets them in motion. There's good nods to some old Star Wars properties. Some characters have emotional moments that aren't executed beautifully, but it's enough to get a response out of people that have grown up with some of these characters and then like to see where they're ending up in their role in the movie and the conclusion. So I do think there are good moments where there is some cuteness between characters that some of us have known for decades. And I think that's nice, if nothing else. And I really can't stress enough how great John Williams is with his music in this. That is honestly just probably the best part of the movie is the goddamn music. Which is sad considering this is supposed to be the conclusion to a story so many fucking years in the making. It's just not a good movie, though. Plugging this into the moist meter, Rise of the Skywalkers getting a 40%. It's a shame. It's a real shame. In their conclusion, they outright nullified half of what made Star Wars' story happen in the fucking first place. It's unbelievable to me. And they do it so carelessly. They do it so like they don't give a fuck, as if it's like a big old, J.J. Abrams just bending over to show fans his asshole. He just slides it in, and I guess he doesn't realize or doesn't care how important that detail was. It's very big what he's thrown in here, and the consequences of its existence throw out of whack all of Star Wars. And I think that's probably its biggest sin, aside from just being a bad movie that has at least 20 different planets across its entire 2.5-hour runtime, and you're constantly trying to remember why they were there in the first place. Oh, they're going there for that, but that didn't work, but then they found out about this, so they're going there for this. Wait, no. They just learned from some dude in the background shouting that they need to go here, so they're gonna, that's why they're going there, right, because that dude was shouting. It's a mess. It's an absolute convoluted mess of a plot that just doesn't work. There's nothing cohesive about it. It is truly a shame, and I think it's going to be a letdown to the majority of people that see this movie. Even if you loved Episode 8, which was super divisive, you're not gonna like this one, I don't think. I just don't see what there is to really like about it. It's also extremely predictable in exactly how it's going to end once it gets to that point. You see what's happening, and it's just not good. That's about it. So yeah, the new Star Wars may have been overwhelmingly disappointing, but you know what's not disappointing? Fucking Raycon, baby. I've talked about these bad boys multiple times, but I can't stress enough just how much I do enjoy them. Not only are they comfortable, it feels like a nice sweet hug from your grandmother in your ear, but they have revolutionized my gym experience because I used to use wired headphones at the gym, which always got in the way of sets and were just genuinely a nuisance. I'd constantly rip them out by accident putting weights down, and it was just terrible. But with Raycon, I don't have that problem. The audio quality is pristine, and they're just as good as other premium audio brands which start at half the price. It is truly a fantastic product that I can't stress enough how much I enjoy. So yeah, if you're interested in Raycon, feel free to click the link in the description to get 15% off your order. Link in the description if you're interested. That's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Seeing Midsommar was a genuine waste of time, and it actually sucks saying that because Hereditary is what I consider one of the best horror movies of the last decade, and this is a movie from the same visionary that brought us that. But Midsommar is just a fucking stinker. From start to finish, it's just bad. The best parts of this movie are the cinematography, which is absolutely spectacular. The cinematography is superb, and the acting. All of the characters are really well portrayed, and I actually cared about the majority of the cast. Those are the only two good things about this movie. Everything else just doesn't land. It tries to tackle themes of like grief and relationships. However, in terms of grief, the grief portion happens in the first 20 minutes and then is forgotten immediately. It's not really woven throughout the plot, at least not effectively. It just really misses on all of the themes it goes for, and that's not even that big of a deal in the grand scheme of this movie in terms of its problems, because everything else fucking sucks too about it. The movie is it's around 2.5 hours, and I'd say at least an hour and a half of that runtime is spent either sitting down, standing still, or walking in slow motion. That is the majority of every single scene in this movie. It is unbearably slow, and I'm fine with slow movies. I love the tension building shit, but in this movie, the majority of the scenes are awkwardly sitting around a table waiting for someone to eat. So you have all these characters just sitting there looking at each other, looking back and forth, or looking blankly. And as an audience member, it's there to try and build tension, like, oh, what's going to happen? When's the tension going to break? What's going to happen? And then nothing happens. That's the big surprise. Nothing happens. That's the payoff. It just fucking dragged out. And this movie's marketed as a horror movie, and that's a criminal offense. This is not a horror movie, nor does it want to be in any part. When it tries to do something that even looks like it's inspired by horror, it's done off-screen. Everything that could even be misconstrued as an attempt to unnerve you or be disturbing is done off-camera. What this movie does do, and I'm going to give away this scene, I hope it's not going to be considered a spoiler. What this movie does do is make you laugh at how bad its attempts at unnerving you are. The last 30 minutes, maybe even 40 minutes, no exaggeration, were spent in tears of laughter from my audience at the movie theater. I was laughing pretty fucking hard too. Let me paint the scene for you, a scene from the last 30 or 40 minutes. There's two people having sex. In front of them, standing around them in like a fucking football huddle going over plays, are naked women chanting. It's an a cappella of sex as two people fuck on the floor. And as they're having sex, the a cappella turns from singing and chanting into an up-close and personal singing into the man's face as he's fucking the girl. Once that's over, they then begin moaning in different harmonies, a moaning a cappella. When that's done, one of the women starts pushing his ass cheeks so he gets deeper in the girl's vagina. And this scene goes on for, no joke, at least 10 minutes of uninterrupted just goofiness. And I believe it's there to make it like an unnerving thing, like, oh man, this is the big payoff. This is the crazy shit that's going on. Look how crazy this cult is. How disturbing. But what actually happens is just a really comedic 10 minutes that you're gonna spend either smiling or just feeling really embarrassed. I felt fucking embarrassed watching this movie a lot of the time. And the second that scene's over, it goes into another goofy scene where the dude's running around naked with his penis flopping everywhere like the pendulum in a grandfather clock, and then he runs into a barn and sees something spooky. And then, it goes from there, just stays bad. The whole movie just doesn't land. Nothing in this movie works at all. The cult shit, I love the concept, and I like what the movie, I think I understand what the movie wanted to accomplish, but it doesn't even come close. You get like this pseudo-comedy, boring piece of shit that in no aspects succeeds in where it needed to or wanted to. Another thing I can compliment though is the sound. I really appreciated the sound when it wasn't just moaning. I appreciated that. That worked pretty well. But again, there's just not very many positives I can give to this movie. It is so boring. Everything drags so long. You're waiting for something, anything at all, even remotely interesting to happen, and it never does. But then you get like 30 or 40 minutes of goofs and giggles, so I guess that's something. But man, it's just not good. It's not even like a deep movie either. There's really, like, all of the metaphors and symbolism it wants to hit pretty much hit you over the head with it. There's nothing too deep about it that you could pick apart and really digest and come up with your own fan theories, because you're going to pretty much get it, I think, for the most part, as a general audience member. It's not really a thinker, it's just a straight fucking stinker. It's just not a good movie, and I'm so disappointed, which is why I'm ripping into it kind of hard, because Hereditary was fantastic. It was a great movie until the last 10 minutes where I felt it kind of fell flat, but really as a whole, the movie was fantastic, and I think it's a little unfair to compare works, even if it's from the same visionary. But in this case, I can't help but draw the comparisons because it has a lot of the same fun cinematography Hereditary had. It had a lot of the great performances that you got in Hereditary, and it just doesn't even come close to even being in the same ballpark as that movie. It's just bad. It bafflingly bad. Like, even like from, if you can pick out plot holes too. Like, the narrative doesn't work. Like, a traumatic thing happens to the main character in the beginning, and then that's the end of it. Completely forgets that ever happens. At no point is it ever really brought up throughout the rest of the movie. Like, it's just so much wrong with this movie. I wouldn't recommend it at all. It's a genuine waste of time. Plugging this shit into the moist meter, I'm giving Midsommar a 25%. I like the creative cinematography. I like that it's not just standard, boring shots. It's framed beautifully. I also really enjoyed the characters, the performances from the actors. Those were second to none. And the sound department kind of killed it as well. But the movie as a whole piece, a whole product, is just not good. It's like offensively not good if you're a fan of Hereditary. And that's unfortunate, but that's what it is. Not really worth seeing. That's it. So yeah.
This episode was brought to you by Hostinger.
Initiating moisture.
I loved the original Men in Black, and I'm in the small group of people that also enjoyed Men in Black 2. I didn't think Men in Black 3 was all that strong, but again, not bad. So, Men in Black International, I wanted to be good. It's not very good. Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson share the screen again. You'll know them from Thor Ragnarok, and this movie's basically Thor Ragnarok in black, but significantly worse in every single category imaginable. In fact, the only thing it has in common with Thor Ragnarok is those same two actors are in this movie. And they still have great chemistry. That's the only compliment I really have for this movie. Chris Hemsworth and Tessa, they have good chemistry on screen, but the writing in this movie is so bad, you're not going to appreciate it or care at all. The comedy attempts in this movie are really bad. The humor in this movie just doesn't land. Almost no one in the theater was laughing, and this movie tries really hard with like rapid fire attempts at making you giggle and, side-splitting comedy. But at no point will you even crack a smile, I imagine. It's just not good. This feels like a really passionless attempt at making a Men in Black movie. Like, they knew what elements made Men in Black, and they just kind of wanted to try the same thing, very haphazardly throw it together with no actual care. So, like, they knew jokes needed to be in there, but they didn't feel like actually writing jokes, so they just came up with the most obvious bullshit attempts at something that could almost be misconstrued as humor and threw it in here. It's just really a shame because Chris Hemsworth is really good at comedy, as we've seen in Thor Ragnarok and Thor as a character in general. And here he doesn't get to utilize that at all, despite that being his entire character in this movie. His whole character is being this silly, goofy, party-hard, comedy wisecracker, and none of his jokes are entertaining in even the slightest. It's just really bad. The action is also shit. Visually, the movie's pretty good. I like a lot of the weapons they show, the vehicles and the scenery. I like some of that. But the action is really bad because the action is kind of stand still and shoot like you're playing a Time Crisis stand-up arcade game at Dave & Buster's. There's really no depth to it. There's also two villains in this movie that you feel like are going to have a big role in it, and then all at once are forgotten immediately with really no importance at all, despite the whole movie leading up to them being a big deal. They're just kind of thrown away. Like, it's the fucking Game of Thrones level where they just forget about shit. It's just bad in every department. Man, the story is rough. The only cool thing about the story is at the end. And the big conflict at the end resolves in literally 3 seconds. It's all just resolved within a matter of seconds. This whole movie just kind of concludes abruptly. It's just bad. I mean, the movie's just not good, man. And it's a shame because I really like the universe of Men in Black, and I really think they could do a lot of cool shit with it, but they just are not. The first Men in Black is still far and away the best one they've made, and I don't know if they'll ever even get close to that. I think one thing that they're missing in every Men in Black movie is that idea that the Men in Black it's just another day. Like in Men in Black 1, Kay goes throughout the entire world-ending scenario stoic, just treating it like another day on the job, another 9 to 5, just can't wait to get it over with. Whereas Will Smith is freaking out the whole time, and it's this nice, this nice disconnect between the veteran, the seasoned veteran, raw, no rubber K, and Will Smith, who's new on the job, freaking out like, hey, the world's about to end. He's got a sense of urgency. K just treats it, monotonously, and that's a great thing, and I think that's what all of the movies have been missing since then. Here, it's another one of the things where everyone's just all high energy, and it's really bad comedy. I can't stress that enough. It's really shit in that department, like offensively bad. And the actions, fuck, let's just plug it into the moist meter. I'm giving Men in Black International 25%. I like Tessa Thompson and I like Chris Hemsworth, but their writing in this movie is really bad, so you can't appreciate them on screen together very well because of the shit that they have to say and what they have to present on screen. It's just not good. Nothing about this movie is really good. It's not worth seeing, even for the most die-hard Men in Black fan, or a fan of action movies, or a fan of comedy. I don't think there's a single group of people this movie appeals to and will please. And that's about it. Anyway, here's Agent J with some big intergalactic news. J's for Jackson in this case, not Will Smith's character from the first movie. We don't have Will Smith on the moist meter, we just have low-budget ass Jackson here.
Hey guys, Jackson here to tell you about the best and most affordable way to host and even build your own website. It's called Hostinger, and it's the premier way to make sure your website is the best it could ever be. You may have seen other hosting sites that offer similar things, but where Hostinger differs is that it's far more user-friendly. While other methods are chaotic, overwhelming, and can take time to learn, Hostinger makes setting up your own website super easy. You can have a website up and running within 5 minutes with Hostinger, and it even has seamless WordPress integration, meaning you can just click a single button and you're set up with a great website. I personally recently used Hostinger to set up a website for a side project Charlie is helping me with, and the process really surprised me. This is by far the easiest way to set up your online presence, and you may be thinking, well, it must sacrifice something, maybe it doesn't offer much customization or it's super expensive. But no, there's still a lot of depth to be found if you're looking for it. And it's also the most cost-effective hosting to be found online. Trust me, you're not going to want to use a neuralizer from Men in Black to forget about the great experiences you can have from Hostinger. If you want guaranteed 99.9% uptime, superior speed performance, and a 30-day money-back guarantee on top of the already stellar hosting and website builder, you can head on over to hostinger.com/Penguinz0 or use code Penguinz0 at checkout to get an additional 15% off a hosting plan. Thanks Hostinger for helping me make a fantastic website that I can be proud of.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're looking at Dark Phoenix, the newest X-Men movie following the massive stinker that was X-Men Apocalypse. This movie's not a whole lot better. Is it a great movie? No. Is it worth 20% on Rotten Tomatoes? No, it's not an abominable, terrible piece of shit or anything like that. It's just this underwhelming, forgettable movie. It's just not a whole lot of great things going for it, but it's not the worst X-Men movie either. It's a movie that you'll go there, you won't be overly entertained where you're shoving popcorn in your face on the edge of your seat ready to ejaculate, nor will you be falling asleep with your eyes open watching it. You'll walk out of the theater and then kind of just forget all about it. It's tough because they wanted to follow the Dark Phoenix story, which is a hard source material to adapt. It'd be a lot and it was never going to get close, and it doesn't get close. The whole movie feels extremely uninspired and everyone going through the motions like, hey guys, we gotta shoot something. Can you come on to set? We'll just make it up as we go. Who gives a fuck? The script is awful. The dialogue's the most cliche, generic shit ever. Charles is showing you your past. I will show you your future. And then they even use the most overused fucking line in all of movies. Your emotions make you weak. No, they make me strong. Verbatim, that's one of the biggest lines in the movie. It's just awful. It's really fucking bad, very phoned in. Hans Zimmer does the score for this movie, and even the score is lazy and uninspired. I didn't care for it at all. That's Hans fucking Zimmer. That's like the Jesus Christ of music. He must not have cared either. No one really seemed to, save for a couple of good scenes with good performances from Sophie Turner and Michael Fassbender. They did seem to put some passion into some of their scenes, other scenes not so much, but it's hard with a script like what they were given, that piece of dog shit. But there is some good scenes in the movie. I think they do a good job of displaying the X-Men's powers in a fun way occasionally. Nightcrawler shines like a motherfucker in this movie. And the final fight on the train, I think, is the best in all of the modern X-Men movies. The whole entire fucking train fight was nice. Every X-Men had their own time in the spotlight. So I enjoyed that, but overall the movie's just uninteresting and boring, with almost no character development. The characters start one way, and then they all finish the exact same way, except Jean's a little more powerful. It's just not good. And the villains in this movie are probably the worst in any superhero movie I've ever seen. They don't even give the main villain a name that I remember. I'm almost positive they didn't give her a name unless her name was like a series of grunts, because there is just absolutely nothing going on with the villains. They have no drive, personality, dimensions to them. Honestly, every villain in this movie could have been played by a mannequin, and you would get the same emotional response and the same attachment or investment in the characters, or care about them the same amount. I cared more about watching a scene that had a piece of gum on the concrete than I did about the villains. There was more character in that gum. The main villain is a very talented actress, played by a talented actress. I'm not calling her a villain, although her performance here was criminally shit. It's played by a talented actress whose entire range that she had to go through here was... That's all she had to do. I can fucking do that. Let me play the main villain. You don't even have to pay me very much. I'll do it for the fucking love of the sport, just to get on the big screen. It was just an underwhelming, horrible attempt at villains. And their motivation is the most cliche shit in the world as well. They want to come to Earth and take it over. Spoiler alert, sorry, I didn't want to ruin it for you guys, but it's that bad. It's genuinely that bad. It's like a storyline I would come up with playing with my action figures on the side of the bathtub as a kid. It's just very lazy. Very, very lazy, uninspired, boring, and that leads the audience to feel the same way. So plugging this shit into the moist meter, I'm giving the new X-Men movie Dark Phoenix a 30%, and I'm giving it a 30 because that fight scene at the end really is very nice. Visually, they do a great job with the X-Men's power. I have to fucking defend a low score because I think most people are thinking it's probably deserving lower or maybe higher, I don't know. But the thing is, there are good moments. There are moments where I can see someone wanted to try, whether it be the actors in some good scenes. There's even some good scenes between the Beast and Charles Xavier. There's a lot going on sometimes, and then other times it's just bad high school theater performances where nobody really cares, including the writers and production team. Not great, not the worst X-Men movie. There was potential, there was at points an attempt with good scenes. Probably not worth seeing though. That's it. See ya.
This episode of Moist Meter was brought to you by Hunter Killer.
Initiating moisture.
You've no doubt already read how bad Hellboy is. I'm here to tell you, it's pretty shitty, but goddammit, I can't recommend it enough. It's unapologetically edgy, gory, and goofy. The movie genuinely sounds and looks like it was written by a bunch of 14-year-olds jerking off in like the basement of their parents' house, drinking alcohol they're not supposed to have, but they stole it from their dad from under the bed in his secret stash. They just started like writing what they thought would be edgy, and then they made it into this movie. And there was a certain charm to this movie. There's nothing good about the writing. The writing sucks some of the fattest asshole I've seen in quite a while. The one-liners are the worst I think I have ever heard in any big budget movie. Fucking Power Rangers had better one-liners. And speaking of Power Rangers, the CGI in this movie gets really shitty at points. Like the main pig demon looks like straight fucking ass cheeks. An actual Power Rangers villain costume it seems like they got for him. But all that being said, I really enjoyed this goddamn movie. I would recommend it. The movie is so stupidly edgy that it takes on a life of its own as like almost self-aware, but it's clearly not self-aware type of edgy movie. The humor never works. It's not even so bad it's good in the humor department, but the edginess does. And it is so goddamn gory for no reason half the time that I loved it. There's people's skin getting ripped off their face, getting ripped in half, eyes getting eaten by ravens, fucking nuts getting busted, nuts getting slammed together, dicks getting ripped in half, dicks getting peeled like a banana peel, dicks getting degloved. There's a lot of fucking gore in this movie for no reason half the time, and it's great. It's super great. I don't know why it's there, but it's entertaining when it is, if you ask me. I would never consider this a good movie. I would certainly not consider this a good movie in any department, especially editing. Shit just kind of happens out of nowhere for no reason all the time. The characters suck. They're not developed well. You don't like a single character in this movie. But god damn it, when the action unfolds and you got arms and limbs flying all over the place, cum and blood, tears, all of it all over the screen, it's really enjoyable. I don't know why people are shitting on that aspect. I thought that was really good. They're like, oh, yeah, the gore made it boring. Bullshit, the gore made it boring, you pussy micro dick. The gore made it tolerable, made it really, really comedic sometimes. This shit was entertaining when it was happening in that area, but it's not good. I'd say it's a so bad it's good movie, but it's really not bad in the visuals department at all. Yeah, there's definitely some bad CGI and some questionable decisions throughout, but it has a really nice aesthetic to it and a nice tone to its visuals that I think complement it really well. There's some slow-mo scenes that just, the slow-mo just seems weird. There's something wrong with the slow-mo, like the slow-mo fucking broke during rendering, but they didn't fix it. So there's definitely some glaring issues, but visually it's nice to look at. There's some demons that come out that are really genuinely cool looking shit. And most of the action scenes are cool, even if at times hard to decipher what exactly is happening. I think the movie has a certain charm to it that I think fans of Hellboy can appreciate at least. If you like the original two Hellboys, which I do, you can still appreciate this one even though it's totally different. I think it's very, very different in all possible ways to Del Toro's Hellboy vision, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I really don't. I think it's really fucking adorably odd what they've made here that I appreciate it. Plugging this shit into the moist meter, I'm giving Hellboy a 30%. Like I said, it's not a good movie, but it is a movie I'd recommend. I was thoroughly entertained. Except anytime Hellboy tried a one-liner or anyone tried to make a joke. That's when I'd roll my eyes and want to, get the fuck out of the theater because it was really, really bad. If they're going to do a sequel like they hint at in this movie, they need to just fire the team that came up with the comedy because it was awful. And also fire the editors. And fire the person who wrote the story as well. And then maybe you'd have something going for you. That's it. See ya.
Hey there, folks. Jackson, chief investigator of water-related murders here. Have you ever wanted to solve a murder? Right now, there's a new service hot on the streets that lets you accomplish that very thing. Hunter Killer is a fantastic murder mystery subscription box that is delivered to your door each month, weaving an interesting storyline on a monthly basis that constantly evolves along with your investigation. This thing is perfect for all kinds of nights. Game nights, date nights, or even the lonely nights that us grizzled detectives are used to. I've personally thoroughly enjoyed the fun that comes with Hunter Killer, and would wholeheartedly recommend it if you're into true crime or even if you just like a good puzzle. The immersion of the game is really impressive. It's almost like an escape room in a box. You'll have to track suspects' movements, listen to audio recordings, link documents together, solve codes and ciphers, and even let the deep obsession with the case tear at your relationships, ending your long-lasting marriage. And just like any good detective, you can even keep all of the evidence from the crime as a makeshift collectible. This is also an exclusive club with only 200 lucky detectives being allowed access each day, but luckily for our listeners, Hunter Killer is letting every listener get in on the action. Plus, you can get 20% off your first box. If you're as good as a detective as I think you are, you'll be able to trace the deal back to hunterkiller.com/moist and use code MOIST at checkout. Once again, that's hunterkiller.com/moist to get this awesome monthly subscription box that is genuinely a lot of fun. You've all heard of cold cases before, but this isn't a cold case. This is a moist case.
Initiating moisture.
Put that dick away. No, I'm just kidding. Take that dick back out. It's the Moist Meter. Today we're looking at Escape Room, a movie that delivers exactly what you'd expect based upon the trailers. It delivers goofy B-movie mediocrity. It's a movie that's very clearly inspired by The Cube, and also even takes a couple condoms out of the top drawer of the Saw series. It's a mashup of the two, but it's not done super well. But there are some good scenes, and at some points it does get clever, but overall it just doesn't succeed where it wanted to, and it has such a shitty ending, It's so different from what the entire movie leads you up to believe is going to happen at the end. It's as if it's an episode of Kim Possible to finish this shit off. It ends exactly like Unfriended 2, The Dark Web. It makes no sense for the movie, and it's there to like set up a franchise or something that I don't think is going to happen. It's going to fucking flop harder than Universal's Dark series, or what the fuck they called that, the Dark Universe or some dumb shit. It was unnecessary, and it completely took away from everything else. Not that everything else leading up to it was super great to begin with, but it sucked the little bit of moisture out of all of that even. Now, I do like the premise of this movie about 6 strangers getting mysterious invitations to compete in a $10,000 escape room. Turns out the escape room's sinister, starts killing them, and they have to win to survive. I think that premise can lead to a lot of memorable scenes, memorable rooms, and puzzles. But it doesn't in this movie. There's almost nothing memorable about this movie. It's a movie you'll walk away and forget half the shit that happened in there and half the characters. The characters are pretty awful. All the characters are cliche, forgettable, and not well done. They're not well written characters. But there is one good room in this movie. And that's a room where it's like a fucking biker bar. There's a pool table on the ceiling, and the characters are on the floor, which is also the ceiling. So it's this distorted room, and the camera work plays with your perception of it, and it's really well done. That entire scene I thought was great, including the puzzle. But none of the other ones are that good, except for perhaps the room where there's a psychedelic scene where the whole room and camera work and characters start melting, and it really does make you feel disoriented. I also thought that was pretty well done. The movie, I want to say, is not bad. It's not like a fucking train wreck or a diarrhea explosion on the screen. It really is not bad. The ending is horrendous. I'm going to just throw away the ending when I say the movie's not bad, because it's truly just a huge disappointment and completely useless. But everything before that really isn't horrible. Now, I do think all the characters were shit. I think they're all super cliche. But it is still fun to watch them participate in the escape room and work well together to solve the puzzles. Even though a lot of shit happens that makes no sense, if you just excuse all of that, you can have a lot of fun. I'm plugging this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving Escape Room a 45%. It's almost a completely average movie at that nice 50% mark, but man, that ending knocks it off of that. It could have been a 50%. You almost had it. But holy shit, whoever wrote that ending really fucked you on that one. Your report card's not looking good from the moist meter there because of that. It is probably worth watching drunk or with friends or something like that, or if you like escape rooms, perhaps. But it's not an amazing movie. It's The Cube, but for teenagers who don't like gore or to think real hard. And that's about it. So yeah.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. We're looking at Mortal Engines. Yeah, so it's a big fucking letdown. I'll go ahead and let the come out of the condom right away. I'll spoil that. It's a huge disappointment. From a conceptual standpoint, absolutely fucking love it. Predator cities eating one another. They're on wheels, fucking Mad Max style, just eating other cities and other settlements. That's fucking great. Just gnawing them up, you spitting out the dick. It sounds fucking great, and it looks great. Visually, this movie's fantastic, but you only see that one time. You only see some city-on-city cannibalism one time in the very beginning of this movie, and then you don't see it ever again. Then it becomes a pretty boring love story / revenge story with really, really weak characters and a pretty shitty plot that's just so... But fuck, they took a shit on that real quick. But, I mean, there are some good things to say about it. The setting's great. I can say that over and over again. I fucking love the universe in here. Because I do think there's just so much potential with that awesome fucking concept of cities eating each other. There's just so many goddamn complaints I could fire at you right now. I could just fart them all at you real quick, but I'm gonna spare you that. I'll give you a couple, though. The main villain sucks asshole. The main villain's just really bad. He's just a cartoonishly evil guy. With just, there's really no reason for him to be that evil. They don't really explain why he's evil or what his motivations are. He's just evil for the sake of being evil. Maybe power. I guess I could see that a little bit. He's a bad villain. All the characters are fucking bad. The dialogue is so bad. The dialogue's real bad. There's some real shit bad dialogue in this entire movie. There's a Minions reference. They go to a museum and there's Minions there that they fucking shoehorned in there and just threw in your face. I don't know why, but they were in there, so if you like the Minions, you'll see them for a second, I guess. Let's just plug this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving Mortal Engines a 30%. The only reason it's that high is because the visuals are so nice, and admittedly there's a couple good scenes, but there's not many. Yeah, there's absolutely not many. Not at all. It's just not good. It's a fucking shame. That's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
What the fuck is up, wet enthusiast? Welcome to the Moist Meter, and I am beyond excited to talk about the new Predator movie. This is the best bad movie I've seen in theaters in a very long time. No matter how you look at this movie, it's super shit. From its story to its characters to just about every component of this movie, it's all fucking bad. But it is very enjoyably bad. This is probably the most fun I've had in a movie theater in a long time. The audience was laughing at the movie, and even at times laughing with the movie. From the very first scene, it looks like you're watching like a puppet show. For some reason, the whole movie looks bad. Like, nothing in this movie looks good. It all looks very low budget and very low effort. And that adds to the charm of this movie so fucking much. From the first scene, you know you're in for a catastrophic disaster of a film. But what you don't know from the first scene is how fun that ride is going to be. And let me just go ahead and say, this movie doesn't work at all as an action movie. It's a super shit action movie. But it works really well as a comedy / kind of gory action movie. They use let's just go ahead and explain this. There's some characters in here that are comic relief characters, and there's some actual good comedy writing. All of the action is bad. In every department there, it's a complete failure. But in the comedy side of things, they do get a few things right. And they even use some of the action for comedy, and they use it well. Like the physical comedy here, like a man's face getting blown off, it's done in comedic ways sometimes. And then sometimes unintentionally comedic, where the Predator will throw a guy pretty lightly against a wall, and then all of a sudden his fucking arms and legs shoot off and there's blood everywhere. It's like a fucking Mr. Potato Head exploding. I don't know why everyone's so fragile in the universe here. But it seems it points it's self-aware and it doesn't take itself seriously. And then other times it does seem like it's taking itself way too seriously. But it doesn't matter because neither one of it detracts. The dichotomy doesn't really matter because the movie is still so goddamn bad fun to watch. Holy shit. Now, let me go ahead and give you the story. So the Predator comes to Earth. He's getting hunted by a super predator. It's revealed that the Predator came to Earth because it's trying to help us. I'm not trying to give spoilers, but it's really important because I really want to tell you about this storyline here. So the Predator, he gets hunted by the super predator. It's revealed he's trying to help humans. And what the predators want, the bad predators, what they want is they want to hybridize. They want to capture strong humans to put into their DNA and make themselves stronger. They want to evolve. They want to upgrade. Now, the main character's son is autistic. And that's not a laughing matter or anything. However, what they do with the kid is just ridiculous. The predators want to capture the kid so that way they could absorb his autism. The predator's main goal is to capture autism and bring it to their species. That's the whole driving factor to the predator species. It'd be like if Perfect Cell in Dragon Ball Z needed to reach the perfect level by absorbing a geriatric patient's dementia. I don't understand what the thought process was when they wrote this. A kid having autism, that's not anything laughable. But when you make the plot point, we are going to take your autism and infect our species with it to evolve, that's just ridiculous. You can't help but laugh about that. That's so fucking insane. And that is the actual plot line to this movie. Now, you're probably not going to go to the Predator movie to really care about the plot, so that's not important. You're going to go there for some action, blood, guts, and tits. There's no titties here, but there are some blood and guts, and there's a little bit of action. All of it's done very poorly, like I said. But sometimes they use that action in a comedic way. For example, one of the main antagonists ends up blowing his head off by accident, and it's good comedic timing. It's well executed. There's a scene where Key and his counterpart in the movie, they both get badly injured and they look at each other and they have this very masculine stare like, yeah. They shake heads, then they each point a gun at each other and shoot each other at the same time. It's the fucking action, the comedy here is played into the action at points, it seems. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but fuck me, it was so goddamn entertaining. It was really, really fun to watch this movie. It's so bad. It's a really bad movie. I need to stress that. But I can't recommend this movie enough. I don't think you're going to find another movie in theaters right now that you're going to have more fun in This is just so fucking shitty bad. I mean, I could keep talking about why it's bad, but I don't need to. All you need to know is it's bad enough to be extremely enjoyable. Let's go ahead and plug this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving the new Predator movie a 30%. That's speaking objectively. Going by pure entertainment, it's a lot higher because, like I said, this is the most fun I've had in a movie theater in a while. But it's an objectively super bad movie. The saving grace of this movie is its surprisingly competent comedy writing, and it's actually intentional comedy writing. There's some good jokes in here and some likable characters, but honestly, I can't recommend this enough. Go see this fucking movie because it's not The Room levels. It's not even close to The Room or anything, but this is probably the closest we're gonna get for a little while. This shit was fucking amazingly bad fun. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at the movie The Meg. This movie unfolds in the second wettest place on Earth, the ocean. The first wettest place being my panties when I think about how great of a game City of Heroes used to be. This movie was exactly as you'd expect. Surprisingly, average. I was expecting it to be well below average, but it's pretty fucking average, which is what you expect from a movie like this, and that's a compliment. The Meg is just a fun, mindless movie. It's a very simple premise. You thought the Marianas Trench was as deep as they say it is? You were fucking wrong. You were deceived by the government. Put on your tinfoil hats, because what you actually fell victim to was a lie, a magic trick. There was actually a secret lair underneath the Marianas Trench, and Jason Statham and the team, well, I guess he wasn't part of the team during this portion, but a team of scientists explore the underrealm, the undergarments, the underwear of the Marianas Trench, and they discover megalodons. And as they're leaving, the megalodons come with them, and then they're in the open waters wreaking havoc, and Jason Statham and the team's gotta stop them. It almost gives me a vibe of Jaws, because that's clearly what I was going for, but it's no Jaws. But it's alright. There's really not a whole lot to discuss here. The acting across the board is bad. The dialogue is bad, but it's so cheesily bad that it's excusable and fun, and it just kind of adds to the charm that this movie has. And there's a lot of cool scenes in here that are shot in fun ways with the Megalodon. It's just an enjoyable ride. I just don't have too much overall to pick apart or really compliment here, because it's exactly as you'd expect. It's just, hey, here's some shit going on with a big-ass shark that's tearing up shit. Let's fuck it up. I will say, some things that I really liked about this movie is the way they fight the Megalodon, because they fight as if like a 9-year-old came up with their plans. You know, they have all this high-tech shit. Oh, they said a $1.3 billion facility and equipment. And for some reason, the best they can do against the Megalodon is small fishing boats and melee weapons. And also dart guns. It's like it's a tribe that's hunting them, like an ancient Aztecian tribe that's hunting the Meg, not like elite scientists. You know, so I'm going to go ahead and point out a plot hole, and I hope I don't spoil anything, but at one point, they have a prod with some poison in it that's to kill the Megalodon, and the only way they can do it is get in a shark cage and stab it with it, as if in some type of gladiatorial combat. But they proved multiple times that the shark takes the bait, chum. That's how they get the shark where they would need it to be. They chum the waters, and the Megalodon comes. Why not just poison the chum? You get the same effect. To extend upon that further, they blow up another shark with some explosives. Well, they made that very hard by using depth charges and shit, but why not just put the explosives on the chum? You know, it's very simple solutions that really would have ended this movie almost from the get-go, but you know, you can't do that. So instead what you get is you get an action-packed adventure where people are getting mauled by the shark, and then Jason Statham's fucking kung-fuing the Megalodon underwater and swimming away from it and doing all types of maneuvers, and it's fun. Let's just go ahead and plug this shit into the moist meter. I'm giving the Meg a 45%. It's exactly what you'd expect and want from a movie like this, and that's a good thing. It's a movie I don't regret seeing, but damn, you gotta just take things at face value here and not think too hard on the strategies. But it's fun. Jason Statham's he's such a fucking man. Like a masculine super specimen of a man. And he's just fun to watch on screen, especially when he's wrestling a fucking Megalodon. That's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture protocol.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. I just saw I Feel Pretty So You Don't Have To, and let me tell you, I feel pretty fucking robbed of the money I spent on this movie. That's just a joke. I knew it was going to be a bad movie. Everyone knew it was going to be another bad Amy Schumer movie. It's rare that you find someone that has almost no enjoyable roles at all, like Amy Schumer. It's like every character she plays is just not enjoyable. In fact, I had to ask my girlfriend about midway through the movie to even confirm that this was a comedy that we were supposed to be seeing. I didn't even notice a single attempt at jokes for like the first hour. Not even the crowd. Plug this shit into the Moist Meter. I'm giving it a 20%. Why am I giving it a 20%? Well, it's a competently made movie. No glaring editing flaws. It wasn't like a scene of accidental porn spliced in there that caught everyone by surprise. Acting all very fine across the board. Even the story was
Initiating moisture protocol.
Moist Meter, 50 Shades of Grey, two things synonymous with sodden panties. 50 Shades just had a new movie come out, 50 Shades Freed. I just saw it. It was exactly as you'd expect. To date, the only bad movie that I haven't been able to finish to completion because it's so bad is 50 Shades of Grey. That movie was insufferably bad. I didn't see the second one, but I really wanted to muscle through it and see this one. I felt like I had to at least finish one 50 Shades movie, and I did. I saw this in theaters. Which brings me to the first topic I'd like to discuss. Why does anyone want to see these movies in theaters? It's a very uncomfortable experience. I'm sitting shoulder to shoulder with a 40-plus-year-old man and his wife watching softcore porn on a big screen. Very reminiscent of the days in middle school where we'd all gather our friends together and throw on an R-rated movie that had a scene with titties in it. You just gray. All they do is just kind of hang out, hear that come out of a character's mouth. I just wanted to leave. And I did. I didn't finish the movie, like I said. Hear the lines. In fact, and I'm proud to say I've done it. I did. I am now 50 Shades freed from the bad fucking trilogy here. Love it, and it's not good at all. At all. You can find actual porn. You don't have to go sit through this insufferably bad storyline, bad dialogue, horrible music. Everything's set to the tune of this weird, awful pop music. You don't have to suffer through that. You can just watch the action from the comfort of your own home. You don't even have to be shoulder to shoulder with a stranger. It just starts dripping sweat during all of the action scenes with sex and knowing for a fact that he's sprouting a big stiffy. It's, you can just be in your own privacy watching porn. It's a lot more enjoyable than watching this pile of shit. So let's just plug this into the Moist Meter. Like I said, there's nothing redeeming about this, so I'm giving this a 10%. There's nothing here. Absolutely nothing of value in this movie. I will say, I guess the acting to some extent is good. I guess as good as softcore porn acting can get. It's just bad all around in all possible areas as a surprise to no one. I don't think anyone out there is just recoiled in their chair like, holy shit, only a 10% for 50 Shades Free? I think it's expected. It's a bad movie, it's a bad trilogy, but it's finally fucking done, which is great. So yeah, that's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today I'll be analyzing the moisture content found within the movie, The Snowman. There's not a lot of moisture content found within the movie, The Snowman. This movie is abominable. It's a fucking abominable snowman. I'm gonna go ahead and get my favorite part of this movie out of the way right now. It's the main character's name, Fassbender's character's name. It's Harry Hole. It's a fucking fantastic name for a character. It was also my nickname throughout high school since I was known for my hairy chocolate starfish. Now in this movie, Harry Hole's got a very difficult case to crack, and almost as difficult as his case is watching this movie. This movie is a convoluted mess, an absolute dumpster fire of editing. It's truly horrible. Nothing flows together well at all. 1 second, Harry Hole's investigating something that's pretty straightforward and makes sense, and then the next scene is a lady falling around the mayor of Oslo who's taking pictures of some titties. There was no lead up to it, no explanation for it, and when it happens, it's never talked about again. It's like this movie was filmed over top of someone's home movie, and they forgot to edit that part out. There was just no reason for it. It served no purpose. And that's just kind of how this movie works. It goes from one scene to the next, and there's really no relation between the two scenes for the most part. From after taking pictures of the titties, I don't remember what scene came next, but I'm sure it was something equally as out of place. Probably just playing fucking finger puppets for an elementary school somewhere in Oslo. The movie just had horrible editing. It made it just unpleasant to watch. The story itself could have been interesting. It had an interesting premise, and I really liked the setting, and the visuals were pretty good as well. But that's all I have good to say about this. Everything else was awful. They had so many little subplots that didn't play a role. They had a really great cast of actors and actresses, but they didn't utilize them. They just didn't do anything with them. It was just really horribly done. Val Kilmer's in this movie, and he's redubbed. And the redub is so bad. It's such an out-of-place redubbing. It sounds like some type of anime fanfic that's commentated on YouTube by a group of teens. It's some of the worst I've seen. And the sound editing is also really bad. Some things that are supposed to be loud or supposed to have a certain sound like some type of 8-bit video game sound effect. It's horrible. It's some of the worst sound editing and dubbing I've ever heard in a professional production. It's really, really bad. But the worst thing about it is just how messy it is, because there's really no relation from one scene to the next, and it doesn't do a good job of explaining the thought process behind the investigation here. They just kind of make these wild assumptions and then just get closer to it. You even forget some of the characters' names throughout the movie, because they say the characters' names as if you're supposed to already be familiar with them, like you're supposed to have already read this book this movie's about, and they only say the character's name once, and then they become an important character but never say the name again, so you don't even know who the fuck that is. You have to refer to that character as Bald Man, or some other embarrassingly simple caveman type name, Beard Man in chair number 3, because they didn't give him a fucking name more than once. It's just a really badly made movie. The book I hear is super great. I never read the book, but I hear the book is better than the movie, which you hear every single time there's a movie made about a book. But it'd be hard for this book to be worse than this movie. It's really, really bad. I mean, there's really not a whole lot more to say about this. The only good things is the name Harry Hole, and that's just more of a joke good thing than anything. But the setting is nice. I think the setting of Oslo is really nice, and the visuals are pretty well done. But everything else is just super fucking bad. Horrible sound. Horrible put together story, and it had like a decent premise, but it was just so badly put together. Fuck it, let's just go right into the moist meter. This is a 20%. There's really not a whole lot more that needs to be said about it. The movie is just a mess, and you can tell that it was really rushed, and based on what I've read, there's a lot of scenes they didn't shoot, so they had a lot of inconsistencies, and they had to change shit around and completely fuck things up in editing, and it shows in this movie. There's just a lot of wasted potential with this, and it's not really worth seeing as a so bad it's good movie either. And that's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
I can't even give a proper intro to this moist meter. I have just so much on my mind about the new Mother movie that I want to get it out there as soon as possible. So Mother's the new movie with Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem or Bodman, fucking Dennis Rodman, Javier. Can't remember his last name, I'm blanking on it, but you know who I'm talking about, Javier. Everyone knows Javier, he's a big actor. And this is the movie that you've seen previews for that markets itself as a horror movie. It's not a horror movie. It doesn't try to be, it's not even close. This is a very pretentious, artsy, avant-garde type of movie. Now, when we saw this movie, wow, that was one hell of a crash. So yeah, I don't have a camera or anything, I just tape my phone against this wall. Sometimes it falls. That was just more of a sign that even the universe doesn't even want me talking about this movie because it's really not even worth the breath. It has a very clever concept, very poor execution. When my girlfriend and I saw this movie, we were counting the minutes till it was over. It made no sense. This whole movie is just an hour of pure, uninteresting boredom. The last 30 to 40 minutes is just a cacophony of screams, yelling, and gunfire. Nothing makes sense. It's a confusing rabbit rectum of a movie. It's just so unfun to watch. It's not till the very end that you can kind of understand what this movie was really about and what it was going for, and I'll get to that in a second. But when we saw this movie, 6 people left. One of them even shouted that this movie was awful and he regrets wasting his money on it. Like, what more do I have to say about it? That's how everyone in the theater felt. That's how we felt too. And then at the very, very end, you get this clue as to what this whole movie was really about. And if you really think about it in a very abstract way, you can connect the dots. But for the most part, watching this movie is like looking through a fucking kaleidoscope during a tornado after popping 12 tabs of acid. It makes about as much sense as 2 Big Macs in a washing machine. Why are there 2 Big Macs in your washing machine? What, are you using them some type of fucking detergent? No, it doesn't make sense. And that's what this movie is like. Now, I'm going to do something I haven't done on the Moist Meter before. I'm going to say what this movie is about because everyone's raving about this movie, at least all the film buffs that love to smell their own farts. And when I get to the moisture percentage, what I thought of this movie, I don't want them to have that excuse of, he just didn't get it. This Cro-Magnon couldn't understand this beautiful piece of art. No, I get what this movie was trying to do. It just doesn't do a good job. It's not entertaining to watch. The messages aren't clearly conveyed, and I'm not saying they have to be, but there's just no real connections to be making here unless you really, really, really stop and think about this in a very abstract way. Now, it's not fun to watch at all, is my biggest complaint about what they're trying to do here. It's just not entertaining. In essence, this movie boils down to God, the Earth, and humanity. Javier plays God, Jennifer Lawrence plays the Earth, the house represents the Earth, so Jennifer Lawrence is more like the mother of the Earth, and then everyone else in this movie is us, humans. And in essence, what happens in this movie starts with one stranger, Adam, eventually his wife comes, representing Eve, then eventually some more strangers start coming in, two brothers, one brother kills the other, representing Cain and Abel. From there, it just snowballs into just pure pandemonium and just downright awful stuff. At the end, there's just war, cults, just overpopulation, eventually leading to Mother Earth killing off the planet. And then God's Javier starting anew. The mother blows up the house, thus getting rid of the Earth, and Javier just starts again. That's kind of just the whole message of this movie. Humans are killing Earth. It's just telling the story of the Bible, and it's filled to the brim with symbolism. Just beats you to death with symbolism, and it's just not entertaining. It's not fun, and you're not going to pick up on this shit either unless you watch the whole movie and then think back on it in just very odd ways. I had to look up some shit too. I can admit that. I'm not embarrassed to say I had to look up a few things to make sure that I'm on the right track. And it shouldn't be that difficult to figure out what you were watching. And even still, once you figure it out, it doesn't make it entertaining. That didn't make the movie any better to me. It at least put it into some logical sense and things kind of added up. But that doesn't make it fun. It doesn't make it worth seeing. I love the concept. I love what they wanted to do here. But they just did it so poorly. So bad. Watching this movie was just a chore. It was painful, really. Another thing that made this movie incredibly painful to sit through was the camera work. Every scene had a close-up of Jennifer Lawrence's face just following it around. Anytime there was any type of muscular spasm, if she had an itch on her face, you bet your bottom dollar, you bet your sweet asshole that we are zooming in on that little muscle spasm. We're looking at that itch under a microscope here with the camera. It is just nauseating how many close-ups of Jennifer Lawrence's face we have throughout this movie. That's at least half of the footage, at least. There's really nothing else I want to talk about here. There's no reason to, because this just boils down to the movie not being a fun movie to watch. Even if you figure out what's going on and what it's saying from the get-go, if you can somehow Sherlock Holmes super sleuth your way into really comprehending what this movie is telling you, if you have one of those epiphany moments in every CSI or detective show on TV where you pick up on some minuscule detail out of nowhere, oh, staircases, heaven, God, wait a minute, and you can figure this out right away, that doesn't make the movie any better. You can understand this movie from the fucking first second, and this movie is still just not fun to watch. It's boring. It's a very boring and uninteresting movie, but it has a great concept, and I respect that, but it's so poorly used and utilized. So let's go ahead and see how much moisture was in this motherfucker of a movie. This is a 30% to me, and it's a 30% because I absolutely love what they wanted to do here, what the creative vision here was. I love it. I love what they wanted to do. The idea is great, but it is just not entertaining at all. Just so poorly done. And it's a shame. It really is, because it's a really clever idea. It's a really smart movie with its ideas, but it just couldn't make it a fun movie to watch. And that's just unfortunate. But it's not worth seeing. I don't think it's worth seeing under any circumstances, even knowing what it's about going into it. There's just nothing of value here. Nothing fun about it. Just a waste of time, really. But yeah, I mean, that's it. So yeah.
Initiating moisture.
They say the Lord has blessed us with only two true gifts for humanity, Minecraft and anime. Now when it comes to anime, there's one that many celebrate, and it's called Death Note. And a couple days ago, Netflix released their own version of Death Note. And it's nothing like the anime at all. It doesn't even try to be, so let's just get this out of the way now. I'm not going to compare this to the anime. If you haven't seen the anime, you should, and if you have, then just know this has almost nothing to do with it at all. The only similarities they have are the book exists and so does Ryuk. That's about it. I'm going to review it as its own standalone thing. And even on its own standalone thing, this shit's not that great. The story is the ass cheeks and everything else is the whole. The main character, Light's a very generic character, bullied high school kid, and he wants revenge and he has a strong sense of justice. He falls in love with a cheerleader who smiled at him one time, and she falls in love with him because she asked about one of the students getting decapitated, to which Light then shows her that he can kill people with this book, so he kills somebody in front of her, and then that of course sparks a flame in this relationship. As it would for most relationships. I mean, these days, how else are you going to get a relationship? You can't always just buy a RuneScape girlfriend because they're pretty high in demand as well. So sometimes you have to take it to the next logical step, which is kill somebody for a girl. The movie tries to be kind of shockingly gory or whatever, but it doesn't really come across that well. The gore is pretty nonsensical. It makes it seem like every human being in this movie is just a fucking pile of meat on top of itself waiting to just fall over, because every time someone's even slapped, their head comes flying off. It reminds me of the old over-the-top gory action movies with a low budget from like the 80s and 90s, like Riki-Oh, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I can at least respect them trying to do something kind of different than what people would expect from Death Note, and that I can respect. It didn't really come over very well, but I at least respect where their head was at for it. What I can't respect, and what I have even less respect for than an open bag of potato chips in a dumpster, is the characters in this movie. They were just fucking bad. The only one that I even kind of liked was Ryuk, and I think that's just because Willem Dafoe was cool in the character, and they at least made Ryuk kind of this mysterious, sinister guy. Light's uninteresting and a really hard character to root for or like at all. It's just, he acts like a 12-year-old on PlayerUnknown's Battleground. Oh, but this is bad, I give up. No, I shouldn't give up yet. PP is very small, but my PP might get bigger. Oh, but this is good, but it's bad. It's just back and forth, flip-flops, whiny. Not a very smart character with the notebook until the very end of the movie. He doesn't do anything really intelligent until the very end. Mia's just stupid. She's just a dumb character in here. Out of the main characters, I'd say L is at least not the worst. So, I mean, he's the best out of the three, which isn't a big compliment to make. But he at least tries and kind of does some interesting stuff almost. But yeah, the characters fucking blow. And the pacing of this movie is horrible. It's like they tried to fit so much into this short movie that they ended up putting nothing into it, and it's nothing but filler. In one scene, Light finds the notebook, and the next scene, he's already executed the Canadian rowing team. It's just a lot of shit that's left out. Somehow L tracks him down to Seattle by tipping him off on some Japanese drama or some shit. I've got Akira right where I want him. I told him my mother was having an affair, and now my mother has been executed by Kira. That tells me he's in Seattle. I knew it from the get-go. It's leaving out so much detail, and it's hard to follow why things are happening and how we're getting from place to place here. Let's just go ahead and slap this into the Moist Meter content analyzer. I'm giving this a 25%. It's pretty bad. It's definitely not good. But I can say with confidence, if you haven't seen the anime or read the manga, then you will be a lot more forgiving of the problems most people are having with this movie right now. And if you have seen the anime or read the manga, then this is nothing like it. This is unrecognizable from the source material. This is to Death Note what Terminator is to the Titanic. It's just not even close. But imagining this movie as its own standalone thing with nothing to do with any previously existing material, it's not very good. Yeah, it's still just bad. It's kind of one of those so bad it can be enjoyable movies, and for that, it might be worth watching if you're a fan of bad movies like I am. But yeah, it's not great. That's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Moist Meter, it's what you're watching. Transformers The Last Night, what you shouldn't watch. How is The Last Night? Pretty much the same as those. I will concede that Anthony Hopkins fucking kills it. I really liked his role, and I also liked his sidekick Cogman. I thought those were the only two redeeming features of this movie, but I'm also just a big Anthony Hopkins fan. But despite his good performance, Megatron's on screen for about 10 minutes before he just gets fucking obliterated. He's just a laughably bad villain. He's like the box ghost from Danny Phantom of the Transformers universe. He just serves to just get fucking beat every single time and do nothing. The final battle with the main antagonist is extremely underwhelming and unsatisfying. The entire fight is over in about 1 minute with one single torpedo blast. It's like a fucking Nerf dart just hit her and she explodes. This is everything about this movie was underwhelming and not good. Soundtrack, mediocre at best. It's not great. It's not horrible. Sound effects, horrible. It just sounds like someone listening to dubstep and smacking two wrenches together every time there's a fight. I've already talked about how awful the storyline is, and I was only just getting started, but there's no reason to make this a 15-minute moist meter just criticizing how bad the story was. Action, lackluster, never cool, never satisfying. Hard to make out what's going on in a lot of the action scenes, except you know for a fact every single fucking shot misses, because it lands behind them and they do like a Power Rangers gymnastics move trying to sell it with little sparks flying out. Let's just go ahead and plug this into the moist meter now. I'm giving this a 25%. The only reason it's that high is because Anthony Hopkins and Cogman were cool characters and I enjoyed them on the screen. Also, Mark Wahlberg's character I think is a cool character. And that's about it. Those are the only two redeeming qualities about this movie that I saw. Everything else about this movie is a bottle of butthole. It's really not worth seeing. Even if you're a huge fan of Transformers, I don't think you'll enjoy it. I don't really know who the movie is aimed at either, because it's not exactly suitable for little kids, because a lot of parents are very uneasy when it comes to bad language, and there's a lot of shits, bitches, and asses thrown around in here. And there's a lot of other, like, mature elements to it, I guess, but it's also very childish. There's dinosaurs, and then there's some knights that transform into a fucking dragon. So I truly don't think they know what target demographic they're going for. But regardless, it's a jumbled fucking mess of a movie that's not very fun to watch and just kind of a waste of time. That's it. See ya.